All right, let's continue. After dinner, Mrs. Quimby said she was a little tired and thought she would go to bed and read a while. The girls avoided looking at one another, even though that remark was significant. "I'll do the dishes," volunteered Mr. Quimby as the girls cleared the table. "Then I'll work on my lesson plans for tomorrow's practice teaching." He lowered his voice. "And I want to make one thing clear to you girls. You are not to do anything to worry your mother. Do you understand?" The girls nodded, avoiding one another's eyes. From the exasperation in their father's voice, they knew he understood that they had quarreled. Beezus went off to her room. Ramona yearned to follow her sister, to say she was sorry, that she had not meant Pizza Face the way Beezus thought she meant it, to find out what Beezus thought of the mysterious telephone call, to ask when she thought her mother was going to have that baby, if she even was. However, Ramona was not used to saying she was sorry, especially to someone who was bossy and called her a hateful little creep. Little creep she could not overlook, but she had to. Hateful little creep, though, was rough. All right, Chapter 4, Picky Picky. Strangely, when Ramona's heart was heavy, so were her feet. She trudged to the school bus, plodded through the halls at school, and clumped home from the bus after school. The house felt lonely when she let herself in, so she turned on the television set for company. She sat on the couch and stared at one of the senseless soap operas Mrs. Kemp watched. They were all about rich people, none of them looking like Howie's Uncle Hobart, who accused other people of doing something terrible. Ramona didn't understand exactly what, but it was all just boring, boring, boring. Beezus came home, left her books in her room, and probably hung up her jacket instead of throwing it on the bed. She then went to the basement door, her back saying silently to Ramona, "You didn't let Picky Picky out." Ramona realized she had not let the cat out because she had not heard him meow. When Beezus opened the door, no cat came out to investigate his dish. Beezus snapped on the basement light and descended the steps. "That's funny," thought Ramona. "Ramona!" screamed Beezus. "Come quick!" At last, Beezus had spoken, but her voice told Ramona something dreadful must have happened. Frightened, Ramona ran down the basement steps, skipping the last two and jumping to the concrete floor. Her sister needed her. Beezus, with her hands clasped to her chest, was standing over Picky Picky's basket. "He's dead!" Beezus stared at the motionless cat in disbelief, tears in her eyes. "Picky Picky is dead!" "How can he be?" asked Ramona. "He was alive this morning." Both girls had forgotten, or at least put aside their feelings toward one another. "He just is," said Beezus. "I don't know why, unless he died of old age. I started to pick him up, and he's all limp and cold. Go ahead, touch him, you'll see." Ramona summoned courage to touch timidly with one finger the lifeless Picky Picky. He felt like cold, limp fur. "What are we going to do?" asked distraught Beezus. "Wait till Mother and Daddy come home," suggested Ramona. "But Daddy said we weren't to worry Mother," Beezus reminded her. The sisters looked helplessly at one another. "I know we didn't do anything to Picky Picky, but I think coming home and finding a dead cat in the basement would upset her a lot." "Yes," agreed Ramona, "it sure would, especially at dinner time." The two looked sadly at the remains of their pet. "I guess we should bury him," said Ramona, "and have a funeral." "We'll have to hurry," said Beezus, "and I don't know if I can dig a grave." She lifted her father's heavy shovel from the wall, where it hung upside down between two nails, and started up the steps. "Come on, help me find a place." Ramona was glad to follow. Somehow she did not want to be alone with the ghost of Picky Picky. Silly, but that was the way she felt. The girls walked across the wet grass to choose a spot in the corner of the backyard where their father had grubbed out an old laurel bush that had grown too large for the space. Beezus jabbed the shovel into the muddy soil, stepped on top of the blade to push it farther down, lifted out a shovel full of dirt, and laid it aside. "What will we bury him in?" she asked, struggling with another shovel full of wet dirt. "I'll find a box." Now that Beezus was speaking to her, Ramona was eager to do her part. Besides, even though she felt sad and awed by her first experience with the death of someone she knew, birds don't count, burying the cat was interesting. In the basement, she picked up a cardboard carton and ran upstairs. In her room, she found a doll's pillow and 2 doll's blankets. She lined the box with one blanket and placed the pillow at one end. She forced herself to return to the basement, where she found she could not bring herself to lift the lifeless Picky Picky. She would leave that to Beezus. So, sad happenings today. We'll continue tomorrow. Bye.